All right, there it went. It unmuted me. It's taking its sweet time now. Hey, everybody. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. And we got Rob. Rob, where are you today?
Oh, I'm in Santa's cupboard.
Oh, you're
Native
in.
Americans and Daisy Ridley. That's where we're
Yeah,
all living here now, Jason.
in there.
Ever since the elves strike, all the toys we're just holding it out for the winter. You know, like.
All right. This makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense.
yeah.
This makes a lot of sense.
No Star Wars toy sales this year, folks. Sorry.
Yeah. Today we're gonna hit this article, and then we'll, I guess, talk to the chat for a bit. I think the show will probably be like about an hour today. And here is the article du jour. And this is a story now. I was able to get it very sourced on this one. And so it's pretty solid. Exclusive, Scroobius Pip cast in Star Wars The Acolyte.
I thought you like. I gotta show my limited knowledge of the world, Jason. When you said Scroobius Pip, I was like, this dude's just fucking with me now. Like,
No,
it's a real person.
Oh yeah, it's a real name.
I learned what a big gulp shitter was today, or whatever that shit's called. Like,
Glub Shitto.
Yeah. Santa said Glub Shitto on his side. I spit up my coffee. I got it all over my art, dude. It was like, I had to redo some work.
All right. So
it was real though. I thought it was a goof.
Glub Shitto is like a term that's used to just like mean like some EU character or irrelevant character that people want to see show up in a thing, and then they just start dropping it. That's kind of how I think where it comes from. So, anyways,
but what's the difference between that and a Scroobius Pip? Like,
big difference. Scroobius Pip has some talent. I spoke with sources at Disney recently, and I heard some pretty interesting things about casting and things currently in motion. If you know this site, you know casting is not my strong side, and I have always said that. Too often things change during production or deals fall through or whatever. I'm not going to drop everything I have heard today, but instead what I know has already happened. So, British spoken word poet Scroobius Pip has been cast in Star Wars The Acolyte. While he hasn't released much music in the last decade, Pip is currently best known for Distraction Pieces with Scroobius Pip, a podcast where he conducts casual but thoughtful interviews with celebrities or just chats with his friends about fun topics like fan casting Thundercats. It's a good episode, by the way. You should listen to it. He also acted pretty often in recent years in such films as Venom, Let There Be Carnage. In recent podcast episodes, Pip comments he isn't on social media much at the moment, and perhaps his social media blackout is because of his involvement with the filming for Star Wars The Acolyte. Sources say he isn't a Jedi Knight, even though The Acolyte takes place during a golden age of the Jedi. Scroobius gets to keep his majestic beard, but sources were clear it's not just a beard. A source who glimpsed Scroobius says he wears a brown sleeveless vest with a Plo Koon style mask with a tube, and he has a cool 80s guy headband. But to be clear, he's a human, not a Keldor, you nerds. That's a Plo Koon, Rob, for the nerds.
Is that an Anakin reference? I'm a Plurbian, not a Keldorian.
No, not a Keldor. He's a human. Stop, Rob. Human. Really pissing me off right now. A source also mentions some gold chains can be seen around the V-neck of his undershirt, but they weren't sure if those were part of the costume or not. That's the word I like the best. Is he has like some gold chains on, and they're like, I don't know if that's just him wearing gold chains because he's Scroobius Pip, or if it's part of the costume.
I love that name, Scroobius Pip, dude.
It's like a good one, right?
I thought I've heard them all, but that's really freaking. That's a great name.
Yeah. While details are fuzzy, there are strong hints Scroobius Pip was involved with the recent Portugal shoots taking place in tropical environment about 2 months ago. If Scroobius is a hired pilot, a bounty hunter, or a pirate is still open for debate. My second source says he looks like someone from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And they say he looks cool.
The Muppet News.
Yeah.
This just in Muppet News. Scroobius was involved in the recent Portugal shoots involved in tropical 2 months ago.
And it looks
also,
like Mad Max
Cookie
Beyond Thunderdome. Yeah. And they say he looks and speaks Huttese fluently. So he's speaking. So I guess he speaks like the Jabba the Hutt language or something, like the alien language in Star Wars, the made up language. Details on the number of episodes and the size of his part in Acolyte are unknown at this time. And so and just to be clear, I actually don't have a clear picture of how many episodes he's in, but I think he's in a few. It does seem like he's in a few based off of some just other stuff. Back in June of 2022, Scroobius did some streams about Star Wars. The picture in the piece could not be different from the character's appearance in the Acolyte, however, just in case anyone looks at it and gets curious. So this is a tweet from June of 2022, and he did this Photoshop of himself with like a stormtrooper. And it looks very dapper, whereas he does not look dapper in the show. He's very, he's very rugged. Like I said, like wearing like a sleeveless vest, like he's like a pirate or something.
I got a
His
question.
beard is supposed to be a bit longer and less well kept, I guess. Yeah.
Did he make his Twitter name Scroobius Pip Yo because Scroobius Pip was already taken?
That's what I thought when I saw it, but I also could see Scroobius Pip in a different part of his life, a totally different time, had a couple drinks, right? And then forgot what email he made the account on. Because we've all done that. We've all been there before. We've all done it. And so
you think I could get real Scroobius Pip? Like he didn't Scroobius Pip, yeah. All right, that's cool.
No, I think he was like, you know what? Of course I'm real, yo. So yeah, I appreciate it. But he said, note, I made this image to promote today's stream, but also how well do I fit into the Star Wars universe? Hit me up, Disney. And he has a little phone right there. And apparently that worked. So apparently a suggestion worked. My bet, based on the alien language he speaks, he is related to the Star Wars underworld in some way. What I find curious about this is we usually have a connection between the Sith and the criminal underworld in Star Wars stories. But ultimately, this is a hint that the series may take a Jedi and his former Padawan into the underworld where they make dodgy allies or enemies, and most likely Scroobius Pip has been cast as one of those interesting characters. So that's the story.
So, as I understand it, he's a spoken word poet. Now, I've heard a little spoken word on Howard Stern, and them cats can really read. So I would love Jason if we could get Scroobius Pip to read his own article back to us and show us how it's meant to be read, right, Jason?
Well, what's funny was like if you want to like simplify it, like he's a rapper. Like you could get his music on Spotify, but he hasn't really put out like a lot in like the last decade. But then when I was like looking into him a bit more, I listened to a bunch of his podcasts. It's a really good podcast. You guys should listen to it. You guys should check it out. It's totally worth it, and it's a good time. And then but he on one of the like his videos on YouTube for like his music channel, he just recently like did like an improv like rap piece giving a history lesson. And it's good. It's cool. He's wearing a mask and everything. It was fun, but he seems like a fucking cool guy. Like we've had like guest spots in Star Wars shows from people before, and you're like, okay, like they got so and so, like whatever, I guess. But he actually seems cool, like, and not just because I got the scoop on this one. Like he does seem like he's like his music is good. It's interesting.
Not like when Joby Harold was all nice to you and buying you drinks, right? At the
cantina, not like that. No, not like
you were
that.
Like, Joby Harold's the greatest
not like when
when
Lizzo was like, "Can I be in it?" I was like, "Of course you can, Lizzo." It's like he's somebody where I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see this, and
I'd sell out for Jack Black.
Yeah, no, I actually I don't really mind any of the cameos. I just in that episode of Boba, it was just too much. It needed to go way harder, so that way you were just like, I can't even fight this. You're just winning. But they didn't go hard enough in Mando, but they went also. I
stand by our review.
You stand by the review. But yeah, but this is one where like who knows what the role is actually like going to entail. But the guy's like a lot of personality, so I could see him being a pretty good like scoundrel type. And for all I know, he's just a freaking pirate. You know what I mean? He's like arg in a scene and says like chuta, and then fucking that's it. I don't know like the parameters of the role at this time, so I don't want to sell him on being, something that's going to be great in it, because he might be small, but I don't know for sure. But Chris Breezy suggests that he could be a member of the Nile, which are the like bad guys in the High Republic era, and I think that's a really like good guess, a really good
He's
like
a
assertion.
nihilist.
Yeah, pretty much. But
Hmm.
yeah, as the truth says, Nile and white robes in Jedi Survivor. There we go. They are mentioned, right? We never get to see them though, I don't think. But yeah, but I guess the thing I liked about this story the most is it's not something that we necessarily thought was going to be in the Acolyte based off of what we heard and what we've seen. We just got like, I'm gonna kill a Jedi, and she's got her dagger, and she's like sneaky, sneaky. And then we got Jedis and Chewbacca's with like headbands on, like, hey, do you do Pilates and yoga? And we have all of that kind of stuff going on. But like this other side of it is something that we aren't too sure about, and that's a bit like, okay, so the series is going to actually go into some places that we weren't imagining off the cuff, and that's what I usually like. Especially if it's intriguing. And I think if anything, the show
toys, Jason. Will it sell toys? Because if it doesn't sell toys, then it doesn't matter.
It will. I think honestly, I think it could. I think that there's going to be I think there's more opportunities in that one for like, badass bad guys and fun Chewbacca's and stuff. So yeah, I think it actually will sell. This Acolyte might be the one that sells toys without selling out 2 toys. Like sometimes Mando sells out 2 toys. You know what I mean? It does. Sometimes you could tell like they're cognizant of what they're doing.
No, they gave a whole character a toy helmet. You're telling me?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, what is wrong with the design of this helmet? And you're like, it's a toy, Rob. I'm like, are you fucking with me?
Nope, I'm not.
It really is.
It's in, yeah. There's like, it's like, but that's like how they were able to make us kids a safe helmet for kids. That's so I kind of on that one. I almost kind of like respect it feeding into like, what was the word from that toy doc, toyetic, like the toyetic nature of doing it that way.
Not toyetic, man. I'm telling you,
it is.
What toyetic is not.
Yeah, then I'm afraid you don't, because the kids love
that's
that
like
helmet.
Giving
the helmet's
that's
a
like
the helmet's sold.
Telling me that. Yeah, I get they sold, but they don't look good on screen.
It's sold, and okay, that's fine, but it's a good toy because the toy moved and the kids like it. So
yeah, I don't care.
Putting it into the
Play-Doh.
show on that.
I watched him eat Play-Doh. Like,
Rob, you ate Play-Doh. Don't lie.
I did not. I did not. I had very strong opinions on food at a very early age.
I believe that. I don't know why, but I believe.
I don't lie to you, Jason. I don't lie.
I don't know why, but I believe you, B. All right. So I think that is usually I am like going, the Grisk and stuff like that. When you hear that jazz, I'm usually like, it's not gonna happen. Fun theory, guys, but it's not gonna happen. That's usually like my internal like gut, and this is a big gut, so it knows when that shit's off. But that Nile one, that really may very well likely be true. And I didn't put that in the article at all because I didn't want it to be misremembered that I said he was a Nile, and that they're coming, because that's how dummies on Reddit will remember the story in the big picture. So I'm not saying that. That's why I didn't. But I do agree. That is my favorite theory about that. I think it makes sense. They made them a prominent like threat in the galaxy in all of the print. It's continued on. It made its way into the game. And now we're doing a series in that time. Do you just overlook that entirely? And I don't think you do. And I'm even going to say that they're likely to be a reason that the Sith or the Acolyte, or however you want to do it, are able to move around freely. And most likely it's going to turn out that the Sith are manipulating the Nile in the situation anyways. That's kind of where it seems to be going, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Explained exactly that way.
No,
I'm gonna care
they won't.
Shits less, like
no, they will.
Have a bad habit in these recent Star Wars shows to just explain things.
It's irrelevant. It would be an irrelevant thing because it's a completely different team, completely different crew of people altogether. It could be worse, Rob, but the past trends has nothing to do with the future of that show, because it's just like I said, there's almost the only thing that has overlap is in probably visual effects, like overall.
All right.
Even it's even made in a different
I go
country.
in with an open mind, Jason. It's just when we start talking about Grisks and Niles and gulp shitters, and I'm just like, what are we doing, dude? Like,
no, well, I mean, on this one, I mean, like this one is supposed to like have like a politically intriguing mystery to it, like a Jedi and his former Padawan, so somebody who dropped out. It appears that she wants to murder a Jedi for past treatment. Something probably happened. I think it appears to be what's her name? Is Carrie Ann Moss the woman from Matrix? Yeah, her. It seems that she wants to kill her. So it seems like she was a Jedi who screwed with her life in some way. And then I'm just guessing that's why she leaves the Jedi Order. But her and her former Jedi Master are probably still cool. They're still homies. They hang out. They call each other like R5D4 and his X-wing pilot buddy in Mando. And so he needs her help on this mission. Maybe because she's not a Jedi or a Padawan anymore. She's outside the Order. Maybe it's one of the only people he can trust to do the things he can't legally do in the Republic or something like that. Like it's kind of like a buddy cop thing. Like he used to be a cop. Now he's not a cop anymore. So he Internal Affairs cannot investigate her.
Do you think we're actually going to be able to enjoy this show when it comes out, or is it going to be? Is Palpatine in the cameo? Where's Palpatine? Is Palpatine in the cameo? Where's Palpatine in the back? Where's Palpatine showing up? Is Palpatine going to show episode 3? Is episode 4? Is he in the background? This is going to lead to Palpatine. It's just that conversation that.
Yeah, Palpatine is not even a sperm in his grandfather's nutsack at this point. So anybody going there is boring as fuck and wasting their time. But what they will say is Plagueis constantly. Plagueis will be the thing that continually comes up. And but unlike other shows, this is actually one where it's more than possible. You know what I mean? It's somewhat likely that like Plagueis will have a role in this in some way or a part in it in some way. So it could go that way, but right now we don't have any like strong indications that like that's going to happen. And for all we know, like this series is supposed to be multiple seasons. And so I'm not sure even like how much of the mystery will kind of unravel for our protagonist. Obviously the Jedi won't learn a fucking thing, or else during the Phantom Menace. We
learned that Plagueis' last name is Guy.
Plagueis Guy?
Plagueis the Wise.
Plagueis the Wise?
Guy.
Yeah. Plagueis the Wise Guy. Oh, he's all. Nobody knows I'm a Sith Lord because my name is because I go by Tony. So nobody thinks Tony's gonna do anything.
Had to lead you to it.
Yeah, I was like, where are you going? Okay,
come on, come on, buddy,
hey,
come on.
Hey, I was right. I was writing an article, watching the great rapist Trump get busted on the news, and my mind is fried today. I was having a good time. Nile and White Robes and Jedi Survivor. So I'm with you guys on that, and I don't know how far it'll go back. Okay, so. And we could go back to the conversation on that at any point, but let's like not ignore the chat today because I missed these guys. I missed Frog Eater. Frog Eater says, with all 8 episodes of Ahsoka being done before a potential director strike that can hopefully be avoided. So, okay. So just to like, it doesn't writers or directors or any of that shit's already in the can. So it's more than likely 100% fine, cool as can be. The only thing that can't happen is Dave Filoni, as the writer of all 8 episodes, can't go in and start making any kind of choices, even in editorial, that would constitute a rewrite or something that was as significant as like in ADR having somebody say something different than what they said, or adding lines in ADR that he's decided that is needed. So that's where they probably run into like the most like kind of issues there. But the other thing to remember is the industry knew this was coming. Judd Apatow is basically saying he thinks that they wanted it to happen. He thinks that they've been planning this and prepping for it for a long, long time. And then when I look at what I know about Disney and how they've been dealing with the Star Wars stuff, it's kind of hard to argue with them, and to see it any other way. So point being, I think that they are going to be fine with Ahsoka, Acolyte, and Andor. Andor got its final revisions in 2 days before the strike. And something I said on Santa's show earlier is like, writing is never done. If you can continue to write forever, you will. Like when you're in college, you're always like, oh, I could have used another day. There's never enough time. You just simply have to make a deadline, and where it's at is what you're going to probably make. And so they usually do that, get greenlit, and then continue refining up until like the very like last moment. Well, on Andor, for instance, it's usually a very small writer's room. Not even really a writer's room. It's a fucking closet. It's like Tony, his brother, and one other guy. And then it's like, when you get down to it, Tony Gilroy is like really doing the primary, like heavy lifting. It seems like he's like and then they are fixing where has weaknesses, is the impression I got. Maybe they would disagree with that, but that's the impression I got from listening to the interviews a bunch of times. And so on that show right there, you were always going to have revisions up until the final moments, even on the days that stuff was being shot at times. But they're on the very end of that show right now. So it's that one's fine. And then when it comes to Acolyte, it's a different scenario because that actually has a real writer's room, like a real actual like several writers on it. So most likely you don't have these like, the draft is 80% done. Most likely that's not the case. It could be though, but most likely not. And some shows are having like, moving forward with like no showrunner and stuff right now. And like Severance, which is a good show on Apple. The second season is being filmed right now. They just shut down production on that. So those three shows should be fine. And then I think things like the Directors Guild are talking now with the studios, and most likely they won't get anywhere. I would think. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they'll get anywhere. And then most likely in about 2 months they will join in on this strike, and it will go on for a long time. That's how it seems, and I hope it doesn't. But I don't. I've been following it pretty closely, and I just don't really see like the opening and where it's gonna like change. And there has to be a game at play for the studios. And like, if you think like, the guy from HBO and the guy from Disney don't like talk, they totally do. They totally like, you see like Game of Thrones moving into like the more of the 8-episode style. Mm-hmm.
No, they got sued for it successfully between the animation studios.
Yeah.
For colluding against wages for animators and stuff. Like
right.
Pixar, was the guy that was running Ed Catmull?
Mm-hmm.
He was part of that lawsuit. They got successfully sued over that.
Right.
Between that and DreamWorks and Blue Sky and all of them studios. Yeah.
Bob Iger is being very complimentary recently to what's his name from HBO and Discovery. What's his name? Zazzy, the Zaslav. And so it's like, yeah. So they have some kind of like, they kind of agree. I mean, they essentially have a monopoly. And they do kind of get together and, work together at times. So most likely they have some kind of thing at play because everybody knows what the demands are. Everybody knows what the solutions are.
This is and like they're just Clue when
they're Mr. just not Greens
playing. Here we got Zaslav, here we got Iger, and James Gunn is the link between them, right?
So James Gunn's the problem? No. But yeah, but you end up with you end up like with that, so everybody knows, so they could like literally like work this out, and they're like not, so like what is their
Netflix.
Like play,
Netflix doesn't want to give out the data.
Yeah, well, no, I mean Netflix is being like hold up, but a lot of the stuff that has gone on where it's like it's just Netflix, it's not true. Like it's.
I'm not saying it's just Netflix, but I'm saying
no, I
don't think every other studio has a side business, right?
Yeah.
Netflix has Netflix, so it's like they're the ones that are like I just see them
Right.
negotiating the least. You know,
The thing about that is though is like, yeah, no, I think you're right there. Like
I
it
sent you the
that does,
demands too, and the
yeah.
authors, like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they, like I said, like they all know what the solutions and what the thing. They're not taking them. They're not interested in it, and they're not moving at all right now.
Right.
But the thing is like, yeah, if everybody came to an agreement and Netflix just said no, they would just move on without Netflix, and they would all sign. They would all go forward. So that's one spot where I think Netflix does deserve a lot of the ire that comes out of this, but also they're, you know, they are helping Netflix. So if Netflix is the worst, then the big boys are helping Netflix be the worst. So it's not really they're all bad guys in this, I think, right now, especially when you just look at how much the CEOs make, and if they made a little bit less, those writers would be paid. Like, you just can't. It's fucking basic math on that. Nobody needs to make fucking $35 million a year. Fuck you. You know what I mean? If you think you deserve 35 million, you're a fucking insane narcissist who overvalues your skill by millions easily. But at the same time, when all is like said and done, I don't know how far they're going to really get out of
Look,
the situation
I
that
put
they're
it.
in.
You know me, I'm not a sports guy, but I put it in the same category as like the football, basketball, whatever else.
Yeah.
I want the players getting the majority of that money. I don't want the fucking owners getting it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, the reason why sports is generating anything at all is because some dudes are going out there and getting the shit kicked out of them on a regular
Mm-hmm.
basis, for a short period of fucking time. And I want them, if it so happens to be that when you cut up all the fucking money, it's 35 million and over, fine. It goes to the people that actually generate
Yeah.
it. But some old Jeffrey Epstein buddy, you know what I mean, sitting around in his fucking third mansion,
Yeah.
jerking off to fucking Elon's tweets. I don't want that fucking dude getting
Mhm.
shit.
But
So
hey, if it works for you, do it, I say.
it is a
Cassian
family show.
Andor
It is a
says,
family
hold the
show.
line, WGA. AI generated scripts would be garbage. Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I find like the AI aspect of it sort of interesting. I mean, it's interesting, but I wonder like if it is being made bigger than it really is in this part of the bargaining, because it's good for like the articles to get the word out about the fact that they are striking and stuff. And the thing I've seen from writers is, we had concerns about the internet and streaming, and they kept pushing that off as being down the road. And we're not going to let that happen here because of what happened to us now based off of that. So we're not going to let this, AI thing go out, so 20 years from now, AI will, if AI is where it's at now, imagine it in 20 years. So they do have like a point, but I do think at the same time right now, for the people who are working now in this first new generation of writers, they just need to be able to pay the rent. That's where they're kind of in a fucked position. And I'm curious if the AI thing amounts to anything in this when all is said and done. But at the same time, I'm kind of pro regulating AI on positions that humans can do that are valid, especially like in the instance of writing and art and stuff like that. I'm not so sure if I think that like it's good that we could take humans out of something that's completely human expression. Like, that's what art is. And so, like, just because a computer can go and plagiarize the collective amount of human consciousness in text and visuals doesn't, like, I don't know. I just kind of think that's like shitty. And I also am with you that I don't think AI generated scripts will ever really be like the AI generated music. If you're already a talentless piece of shit like Drake, then yeah, AI can fucking just take your shit and make it fucking sounds like Drake, sure. And if you're just like a McDonald fucking music consumer who's like, it's just like a cheeseburger or fucking 6-piece nugget to you, it'll work. You're like, yeah, that just does what it does. Fine, don't give a fuck. But I think
Here's
actual
here's
like
what I
music
imagine.
listeners, it will never hold any weight.
Here's
Mm-hmm.
what I imagine can also happen. Like, let's say they get their way and AI isn't allowed to be given any kind of process through the WGA or whatever, and so no AI at all, right?
Right.
So then you got these movies coming out that people will inevitably be unhappy with because that's what the algorithms feed upon. Then it's going to be, I generated a whole script from AI, and you know what I mean? And here's what they did. And look how my script is. You're going to see these endless fucking videos of dudes. Why aren't they using this AI? And they could be using this AI. They can't write for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you read it, it's filled with lore and catchphrases and bullshit. Like, because,
then they go to Mortis and Boba Fett shows up, and it turns out he's a clone of a clone. What?
They just can't get their head out their own ass about lore and shit. Like they don't really understand about subtext or fucking, human drama. They go, character entered scene. Was character tough or was it character or Mary Sue? I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't know where she learned this power. I say we call her Mary Sue.
Thought it should have been exactly 5 minutes less. That would have made a better movie. Like,
because I really had to take a dump the whole time. I had a little turtle head popping out, and if it was 5 minutes shorter, my trousers would be clean. Oh shit!
It wrote a really good fight scene. Why don't they just shoot that?
Look right here. It says he punches, he kicks, and he swings. He does a flip. He does a. Oh, look right here. It says Anakin does a mule kick. Yeah.
It says Haley Moto does a donkey punch. Like, what are you doing?
Haley Moto was 19, young and supple, and big-breasted too. Wow, I didn't see that coming.
I can't see nothing coming with all this fur, like
all this AI in my eyes. Yeah, AI. I got AI.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're gonna be subjected to these endless fucking videos, man. I got a block on YouTube.
Yeah. And like I don't know, like maybe it will be a tool, like for instance, when certain things are like kind of like there are aspects of storytelling that are plug and play at times, especially in like some kind of maybe it will help writers, but I don't know.
Look, I'm empathetic to the process. So when you're like one person sitting there trying to conjure up some shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's say you're an independent writer and you're like, hey man, I want to do this story about a fucking intergalactic, space battle, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, but I'm really good at like characters, but I don't know a fucking thing about naval warfare and how to translate naval warfare. Like Timothy Zahn wrote a bunch of space, like military style novels, right? Before he wrote Heir to the Empire. So when he got to like laying out the battles in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, he was able to really write that in a clear and concise manner, which, by the way, ain't easy to do. Go read Bloodlines. I love Bloodlines, but the end space battle thing is ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. So, if you had like a little AI buddy that could take, your shitty part and they go, I need these military space things to be more blah, 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 blah. Look, I get that, but that's just not how all this works. This is all based on stable diffusion technology. And stable diffusion it's really quite simple, folks. They started with a picture of an apple, right? Told the computer, this is an apple. Now split into a billion fucking images. And it got real good at doing that. And then what it said, okay, now it's diffused. That's what happens when you split into a billion images. You diffuse it.
Yeah.
Now they said, I want an apple. So take a billion different images and smush them together to create the likeness of an apple that I'm looking for. And so it's stabilizing diffused images. And it does the same thing with words. So if you type into Chat GPT, and I have because I wanted to see if it would do it, Rob Liefeld's Captain America Hero Reborn summarized the 6 issues because I was on a podcast. I was in a podcast with Paul, and Paul got me blocked by Rob Liefeld. Thanks, Paul. I'm going to make sure I mention that every episode for the next 10 years. Yeah. But if you say, give me a review for this comic book series that's been out for 30 years, it will invent a whole different synopsis because it's piecing out from the internet, Rob Liefeld, Captain America, Heroes Reborn, MCU, and any trending topic that goes along with it, and taking what it thinks you want to see, not what is actually factually out there.
Sure.
And so then it invents 6 issues of storyline that never existed.
Yeah.
So
you know what though, but it won't always do that.
Yeah, it will. I mean, the head of OpenAI, the guy who's currently being sued for data fraud right now, that
Mhm.
guy gave a whole speech on like we've hit the limits of this is exactly how it's going to work. It's not going to get much better than this unless they do something else.
Mhm.
Like my guess is like there's no singularity occurring here. It's not thinking for itself.
No, I
It's
mean
still
we know,
collaging
yeah,
but it's collaging from so many sources you can't tell until Jason you
mhm,
spot your piece that it stole. You
right.
know, like when you see your bit it stole, then you got a lawsuit.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
you know.
No, and that's oh yeah, like I do think like I believe what Kurzweil says. I think Kurzweil will be correct in terms of like singularity, where we're going to go, how we're going to get there. I think he's right. But I mean, maybe his timeline will be wrong. Maybe it will be slower. Maybe resources will be an issue or something like that. But I do think it will go that way. And when it does, so like I'm in no way do I think this is like the final fucking
Yeah,
version
here.
of
Here,
like
here.
okay, look
No,
at like
I don't want people to take my word for it, Jason. Hold on, I'll send you the link, right? In the
no
private chat.
I know what you're talking about. I saw that. I saw
I
it on
know, but
Reddit.
these cats are going to go in here in the chat and go, "No,
Oh,
Rob, you don't understand." I'm like, "Oh, let's use the CEO of OpenAI's,
yeah, yeah,
words, not mine."
right. No, it's but my thing is it's not here. I'll put it like just in the basic chat so people could read it if they want to.
Yeah.
My thing is that it will be it right now there will be a better version, and right now with it being so hot, more people are things are probably going to be investing in it and trying for it and stuff like that. Like on Santa's show, we were talking a year ago about deep fakes and that kind of stuff, right? And Luke Skywalker and all of that. But now there's like a new company that is already beat deep fake, and they do it in real time practically. Like in the tech video, the guy's a battle droid when he's walking around. That they put makeup on actors who don't have makeup on. Like, and it takes like they film it, they do the thing, and that on the current iteration of it, it renders back in like an hour or two. It does have like a render time, but that won't be an issue once processing power heats up quite a bit here in the next couple of years. So it's like we're moving towards that right there already alone, where you don't got to put fucking makeup on actors. Like that's gonna go away. And so deep fake stuff, it kind of matters, but matters now for like what the ramifications of deep fake are, but also like the actual like delivery method of the concept is going to change several times, I think, over the next couple of years. Like remember when we started like using the search engines, Google didn't come around for a while. We were on what, Alta Vista, we had our Yahoo. You were
Web
you were
crawler.
asking Jeeves. You were asking Jeeves a lot.
I was on web crawler, bro. It was
Web
not fun.
crawler, yeah. I mean, so and then it's like then like Google comes along and then sort of streamlines it for us eventually. So like who knows like how that's gonna play out. But oh, and Baymax gave us a clarification. It's the name they use. Blood Shido is the name they use for background aliens or characters who've not yet been named on set. Okay, Blood Shido. Tyrant says, laugh out loud. Jason thinking 35 millionaires are the issue. That's a drop pebble in the ocean compared to the people who we should be going after first. Tyrant, I don't disagree with that, but just going, oh, this other thing is worse, so we should go there first. I don't give a fuck how you want to prioritize, the revolution, bro. As long as that they all get, they should all be where they deserve. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what aboutism? What about this? What about that? I don't give a fuck. I just know that fucking Bob Iger is paid too much fucking money. And if Bob Iger wasn't paid that much money, if Bob Iger was paid about a quarter of that money, his life would never change one bit. But yet a lot of writers' lives would change. And you could do that with each and every one of these fucking pigs. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And you could go and you could take, and this goes into other industries outside of entertainment. But today we're talking about Star Wars, the writer's strike in relation to Star Wars, and that, which is why we start there. So that's how it goes, buddy. That's how I see it, anyways. But I don't disagree with you. There's a lot of other places that you could start fucking taking capital from that doesn't belong there. Dead capital shouldn't be a thing, if you ask me. But people don't want to talk about economics on this show. Just guessing. That's probably where all of this would fall. And I was thinking about this the other day. It's funny you say that. Will Morgan says AI gives me a conky George Lucas in the style of a sketchcraft. Yeah, I was thinking about conky the other day though, and I was like, man, that is kind of what it sounds like when you. This morning we woke up, we were getting ready. The kids ready. I was getting the kids ready for school, and there was Kurt Cobain doing Song 5 by Blur. And I was like, that's not going to work. So I put it on and would listen to it, and it didn't work at all. And in fact, it sounded like Conky from Pee-wee's Playhouse because Kurt's accent is more Southern-based, more Hick-based sounding compared to like that very English-sounding accent that Damon Albarn sings with, So it was completely like didn't work. But I do think if you took the backing track and did the vocals with an American accent and then AI'd Kurt onto that, you'd probably have something that worked, and it wouldn't sound like Pee-wee's Playhouse. But
AI doesn't have my childhood trauma to back up that voice, so
it's also true. I mean, no, that's
so it's omitting all the experience that goes into that,
Yeah, that's where like a lot of like the AI music stuff right now is kind of getting a pass because so much of music itself, even stuff that isn't meant to, is AI based. Like if you're using what's that fucking tuning? Not auto tune, but Melotone. Fucking, I can't remember what it's called. There's all of these different things that you go and you change to like do pitch correction and shit. Once you do that, your voice is an AI voice. It's no longer you. I'm not against it in terms of a songwriting tool. You know what I mean? Like you want to put out like the best version of your song.
Why I always stack a musician up to how they sound live. Like, hey, I enjoy the first 2 albums of Stone Temple Pilots, but when you hear they're unplugged, you realize I'm talking 1993's Unplugged. Okay, like, it doesn't. And when he's saying Charlie Brown Christmas song, is not good, my friend.
Right.
I literally could have done about the same. Like,
yeah.
So I hear it.
Well,
and that's in the '90s. Like that's what '90s tech, let alone now.
Like Radiohead, like over the years have more than proved themselves as being like in the canon of serious fucking rock musicians, right? They do a cover of Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen on their Unplugged, and it's awful. It's awful. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, but so it's like,
that's why I compare like my favorite musicians. Queen was up there, right? Like they're in the top 1 or 2 all time. Yeah. Stevie Ray Vaughan's up there, Big Wreck. I mean, if you listen to them, that dude, Chris Cornell can say what you want. The dude can fucking sing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
I saw Soundgarden at Red Rocks with my buddy Eric. We went on a bender, I'd say, in about 2011 or so. It was fucking pretty crazy week. We ended up at Comic-Con selling a comic book called Jesus Christ and the Name of the Gun. And he has, like I said, my favorite moment in a comic book is that, it's like, Jesus wants to right all of the wrongs of history that his father has made. And he uses time travel. It's like a Bill and Ted story. And spoilers, at the end, he realizes he is the Antichrist, but he has the powers of Jesus. So he goes back in time to kill Nazis. And this Nazi's taking a piss. And because he could walk on water, he runs up the Nazi's piss stream. And he fucking kicks the guy in the face. It's great. It's so fucking funny. Stephanie Daniel gave a $2 super chat and said, "Hello there, gentlemen. Have a great day, gentlemen." Thank you, Steph. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
do we want to transition? Talk a little Star Wars Visions to bore some folks.
Oh,
I watched 2 more episodes. I watched the stop motion episodes.
Right. See, I watched it all in one sitting now, and so I'm a little bit like, oh geez, I don't remember what the order was at this point. But
you did yourself a disservice. I warned you about trying to watch an anthology all at once. Like,
dude. Oh man, I'll watch it like it's going out of style. I'll probably watch it again tonight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
I probably
mm-hmm,
will.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah. So you talk about an episode, and then I will join in because I could do that.
So the first one is I don't know what it was called. It was with the two sisters. It looked like Leica, like it looked like Kubo and the Two Strings and Coraline and stuff. It was that kind of style of stop motion animation, but actually a pretty serious story, and thought it was really really good. The I watched it in French, so I know you think it's because I'm highfalutin. I just think that their voice acting is superb.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't Disneyfy the voices, like, I
Right.
don't know how to describe it. Like they get the empathy across, the drama. They know when to have fun, know when to be serious. But
Okay.
really really enjoyed that episode. I thought I would have killed to have a 3D conversion of it. Like stop
Mm-hmm.
motion looks so good in 3D. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I watch it and I'm just like, I could watch a whole series of this stuff. Like this season, it's like every episode seen so far, I thought was strong enough to carry 4 to 12 more episodes, depending on how you want to write of any particular setting.
Right.
So um, yeah, I mean, I would love a video game that looked like this, like
Right.
but I know Star Wars fans, if it don't look like Fallen Order and Battlefront, it's not real to them. So
Well, if you
for
follow
you.
yeah, if you follow Bespin Bulletin on Instagram, I think it was, he was doing a poll about like, sort of like what were your favorite episodes, and he sort of like put like the 3 or 4 options you could do at a time, and then sort of like did the bracket thing. And like did you see the one with the dancer yet? Is that in the batch that you saw or no?
No, not yet. No, no.
So there's like one with the dancer later on. And I was like, as I was watching it, I was like, the premise of this is like something that could have been in Andor in the big picture. This is something that could have been a film, in a Tony Gilroy film, if he was just able to do whatever he wanted. It's like a lounge singer who's a spy, who's gonna like assassin spy, whatever, and has some twist in it and shit. But I loved it, right? On the Bestman Bulletin poll, I think it was like the least popular one. And so it's like it's so weird. But and then like my favorite one, I think is on the back end. It's called The Pit, and that's the one that I enjoyed the most, probably, I think.
What I liked
But
about this too, is like much like Coraline and Kubo and those types of Leica films, that it doesn't shy away from death, right? Like they're like, hey, mom fought this stuff, and you see that like Zelda like grab like map, like the Zelda cave paintings map, right? Like the history. Here's mom fighting, and then they blew mom up. Ooh, she became stars, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool, right? Like this is a simple thing to say, but like surprisingly never done in Star Wars, right?
Mhm.
Like
and
surprised it hasn't.
it makes sense that a culture in like that universe would start to, even though they know it's not true because they are advanced enough to fly by the stars, that would still be a poetic way of
Right,
looking at life, right?
right.
Like you become one, back to become an atom, part of the universe again, kind of stuff.
And and what I also appreciate is when they're doing the beats like the reaching out to the hand and using the force stuff, that no one throws in some ADR right over a character's shoulder to explain to you what the fuck's going on. Like
Mhm.
Jason, there's more intelligence in these little 12-minute episodes than in a whole season of Mando season 3, right? Like I don't understand why. Like that's why I was saying, like, animation people, like when you remove the producers out of it, right? And you just like animators and animation writers and creatives put it together, like they don't, generally speaking, talk down to you, right? They don't talk down to the
Yeah.
audience. Like they don't over explain. They show, and if you didn't get it, watch it. It's there. Like, and I feel it's more in line with the philosophies Lucas espoused, where they actually lived up to them or not. But it just falls more in line.
Mhm.
So I really enjoyed that. And then the second one was the Ardman, and when you know we talk about making a cartoon for all ages, right? Like we're gonna do a Star Wars cartoon, but it's for 8 to 10-year-olds or something. This is
Yeah,
how I imagine it.
yeah, exactly.
This
Not
this is
Jedi
perfect for me.
Adventures, which is condescending as fuck to
Yeah,
young people, in my opinion. Yeah,
like the just the humor, like the Wookiee baby who tears the stuffing toy off.
yeah,
Like
that's funny.
it's just like but it's subtle, right? You're like, oh, that shit's
Yeah.
hilarious. Wedge, who's selling his Comic-Con merch, like what's the actor? Dennis Lawson would
Dennis
at Comic
Lawson.
Cons.
Yeah,
Like the old Star Wars heroes running around selling off their name to make a living, off their like that's so good, dude. He's not
yeah,
an ass. It's I have a say, it's like have fun, but don't make fun.
right.
Right? When you're making fun of it, then it's a big goof, and but that whole episode was filled with having fun, and
Hmm.
to see like a Sith looking version of Padme ship, I thought that was cool,
Yeah,
and I like there's a shot in that one where the daughter, she's got that haircut, right? And like she's like my mom, and then the screen behind her has like this, like they're in frame and they have the same, her helmet and her hair like have the same shape,
yeah.
just like such a good shot, man. So good.
Yeah, I like the series. I like the concept. The fact that if this one was so different than the first one. I think like
Right.
the first one being so anime based, a lot of people were like just automatically sort of drawn to it a little bit easier than this one. But I liked them. I like them both pretty much equally. I was pretty much as happy with the second season as I was the first.
And I love
Two different flavors, but it's
the R2 built
intriguing.
like a dog. Thought that was
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
actually worked for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's like a couple of episodes that I'm interested in. Like there's one that's like very from, I'm guessing it's a studio from India. And I'm curious as to what you think about that one, because like I actually really enjoyed that one when you get to it. I really enjoyed it, but I found that people who are more familiar with um Indian culture were less thrilled with it, because they were just bringing in real world shit. Like that's not fun. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I'm not. That kind of feels Star Warsy to me, because it's not something, in Southern California. I don't. It's hard to find an Indian restaurant. You can, but it's not as easy as like in the UK, for instance. And
Right. I ever
so
tell you I had an Indian
I
restaurant I
enjoyed
used
that.
to go to in San Diego for years,
Hmm.
and one of the owners, he was mad because I'd always order the same thing. I've tried everything. I just have my favorite, right?
Sure.
And he'd get so mad at me. You try something else, and I'm like, nah, I'm good, I'm good. But his sister had the biggest crush on me, right?
Nice.
And she was not the prettiest of women, but she was the cook. Like she'd
Hmm.
hook me up, right? And he'd get all mad and shit. And then like I brought my wife one day with me, and my wife
Oh,
got
it's
the room
over. It was
service.
over.
It was over. She knew she had no
And
chance, and then I stopped getting the good food. Had to learn to make my own curry, like 'cause it
yeah,
was no longer getting
amateur.
hooked.
That's amateur hour, Rob. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, man. Like I'm not. I have no game. Look at me. I'm a ghost.
Hey,
So like,
ghost game.
but
Ghost
yeah.
game with
So far,
Rob.
man.
Yeah.
Like I just think like this level of not just creativity, but again, execution. Like each little animation that I've seen so far knows its tone,
Hmm.
right? And it knows what it's trying to say. And it's not like second guessing itself halfway through to like, I just feel like, and this is like, you can tell, man, when I get a studio pays for something, I get it. But when you market research too much and you go in after the fact and I really can't stand when people over ADR, exposition into things to make it clear. It's the worst parts of like 90s television. Like
Yeah.
to me, it's the parts of Buffy I hate. I love Buffy, but I can't stand it when the minute their face is on screen, then all of a sudden Sarah Michelle Gellar out of nowhere in a completely in a different room with a different cadence, starts talking exposition.
Like
Drives me
I think
nuts.
like in some of the Star Wars stuff that you're alluding to, like we come at the same, like to the same conclusion about it, but from different angles. Like it is condescending, but I also feel like in these animated shows, they don't do it because they're literally showing instead of telling. And like
Right.
the problem with some of the ADR moments in Star Wars is if you take them out, they didn't successfully show it either. So that's why it really relies on the ADR at that point. You're just like that.
Which is why
that's where the problem.
This is, I think, where this is where Filoni has an upper hand over folks, in that he comes from animation and is used to showing. Which is why I'm interested in Ahsoka for that.
More of a shower, not a grower. Sorry.
Whereas, like, if you come from, look, I enjoy the MCU a great deal, but we can all agree that there's plenty of MCU movies where they just explain some bullshit, and it's like, you don't need to, you stop talking. Just stop with it. It's like those parts of Deep Space Nine or Star Trek when they start talking the dilithium crystals or blah 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 blah. That you're just like, none of this means any fucking thing, dude. You're like, we got to say it. You don't have to say it. Like, you don't. Like, it's just you're filling up time.
Right.
Bullshit. So,
yeah.
But anyways, man. So like not just myself, but the wife enjoyed it, and I gotta tell you, man, if you want to hear about fatigue, she's got some Star Wars fatigue. Like that Boba Fett, Kenobi. It was hard to get her to watch Andor. Like
fake fan.
Season 3, she bowed out 3 episodes in. So.
Hashtag not my Rob's wife. I'm just kidding. Not my Rob's
I don't even know what that means.
people on Twitter and like the idiots, they'll be like hashtag not my Luke Skywalker when they're like mad at Ryan Johnson or something.
She's an easy mark though. Like I'm telling you right now, you put
she's just a normal person. She's a civilian. So damn it, she doesn't belong in this war.
When the civilians like not feeling it, there's something missing, and I don't care what anyone says. There's something missing, and
maybe, but sometimes the casual wife is not the best barometer of that either, though.
Well, it's as important to me as when you tell me your 8-year-old's got an opinion about Star Wars, Jason. But there is truth to it. So my hope would be, right? My hope would be that the people in charge of this stuff are good at gauging what actually did and didn't work and adjust.
Right.
Whatever that is, forget like my personal grievances.
Yeah.
But we do when people say, Rob, you're going to compare this against another movie or another series. I'm comparing it against Star Wars, and I'm looking at these Star Wars visions, and I'm like, Star Wars needs more people.
Yes, at the same time, I'm down to take all 12 inches of Vision's dick down my throat right now. So don't get me wrong, I like it, but Visions has
Plagueis's timeline, and
it really has no responsibility at all. So it's really easy to excel when you have absolute Star Wars with absolutely no strings attached. And there are
minimalist amounts of responsibility. They're creating trouble for themselves with that.
Well, yes and no. I mean,
Kenobi was a pretty open book too. Like there wasn't.
No. Roll that. Kenobi was the one with the most strings attached out of anything in the whole entire thing. It was the one with the most. We
don't live in a world where I can ask these animators to conjure up something with Kenobi, and I guarantee you they could conjure up with something that plays better than what we got.
Well, yeah. If they were doing 12 minutes of Kenobi in the desert saving a little girl
they're only
in a
given
moment.
12 minutes. These animation studios are used to doing long form storytelling.
No, Rob, I'm not
in story.
I know. I know that they could do a good job, but once again, it's still hypothetical, and it's the fact that it's like they're doing shorts that they have complete freedom. And the TV shows that we've had have, I would say, fucking Andor had the most freedom.
Let me give you an example though. If you watch MasterChef, which I do often, MasterChef,
that's not story.
Specifically.
Not story.
No, I'm gonna hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
And in MasterChef, I'll show they'll do these open challenges, right? Where you'll be you'll have free access to the pantry, to the garden, everything. You can do whatever you want, and when you can do whatever you want, and you have no limits. Right? People tend to fucking like collapse when they give them some crazy fucking challenge where you got to do very specific things and you can't use this and you can't use that and you have to go, and they immediately think, the chefs will immediately think, oh, that's too hard, I don't know what to do, but then they end up creating their best thing. So like what I'm trying to say is sometimes like it just depends on how well you respond to that kind of pressure. And I just think like animation studios are used to producing a volume of stuff now within a group of people, as opposed to like, I just don't think the television can be written by one dude. We've seen it, but not consistently over multiple seasons. Even True Detective couldn't pull that off, and that dude wrote every fucking episode, you know.
That's why I am like applauding them, like for like Acolyte getting in a writer's room, a showrunner, a writer's room, setting it in a different place where it doesn't have to worry about what Darth Vader or Palpatine did that day. And it does not, there's no connection to, there's no ceiling or bumpers about, well, this runs up into this, therefore that's off the table. Like, and Mando did start with that, but then they brought in fucking Luke Skywalker and they brought in the Mandalorians and so on. So you're right. They did kind of make it, but at the same time, they also like the audience was going to demand that happen. Like the fans were going to demand that certain things began to happen that showed that this story takes place in this like general time frame of that universe. And that's where I'm like, I always said it. I wished Mandalorian took place during the sequel trilogy era because it would have just freed it up. And then they could have, and Boba Fett wasn't a side issue where they're both the same thing almost, right? I mean, when we get down to it, when Mandalorian starts, it's the Boba Fett wet dream that they were wanting to do and just couldn't do at the time.
Well, there could have been a time jump though. Like there also could have been a time jump when Grogu goes with Luke. They could have time jumped to after the sequel era. And Mando could have been a ripe old dude, and Pedro could have moved on anyway since he don't want to be in the fucking show anyhow. Like
apparently,
you know? They could have just gave him old man Pedro voice, right? You know,
Pedro's like the kid who gets the pet, and the mom's like, "You got to feed it. You got to do this every day." He's like, "Yeah, I just want it, Mom. I just want it." And then he has it, and now he's like, "Mom, I want to go hang out with the Elastava or whatever it's called. Can you take care of my dog? Just say I love you for me, okay?"
Or they hand it off to Antonio Banderas to be the Mando in his old age or some shit, right? Being held together by back to tanks, and you know.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but that's also where like what Visions is doing is in a big way what I want the films to like generally do. That's why like Mangold Star Wars film, I mean, the heavy lifting is that it needs to like, you know, be about how the Jedi came about, right? But that's fine. That's not tied to too much. They're going to use the Force. Star Wars, of course, they're going to. But once again, it's in a different era. There's like just there's nothing to like make it be one way or the other. Like Mangold's movie could literally be a 2-hour version of the kinds of stuff that we've seen in Visions if they want it to be. And like that's where they should be going. That's why I'm not like super into the idea of like, oh, we're gonna do an Ahsoka Tano movie, we're gonna do a Boba Fett movie, and to follow up with the Solo, a Star Wars movie that Jason wears the shirt of because he loves it and will buy anything. You know, like they need to move on from that kind of stuff and start telling, like we always say, good human stories, right? I mean, that's right. What Visions is successfully doing when it's working. Is that like the human story? All of those companies get it, I think. I would say all of them do. Like even the one that's like comedy with Wedge and like the claymation-y kind of esque style, it's like it's about a daughter, a mother and a daughter's growing up and outgrowing the mother as a child, and so it's
they
like
won the Oscar for best animated film with Were Rabbit when it came out. You know, and they win awards all the time for their work. So
right. And so that's why I said to the show, that's why Rogue One worked, because it's you know, Jyn and her daddy issues, not like in a funny way, but like between her father and Saw Gerrera and all of these different things and working through it, and like those things become like universal. That's why I really do think George Lucas is an idiot savant. I think he's kind of an accidental genius. I think a lot of things were completely him, and some things really just fell into place, like in a really sweet rad way for him, you know, like with the Joseph Campbell stuff. Like I think he knew it, but I think he nailed it, but I think it was like dumb luck in some ways that it shaped out the way that it did for him. But that's what worked. That's what brought people in. People say Empire's the best one. Why do they say that? Because that's really the one where the same issues are now like sort of magnified and made deeper, but they're ultimately human. And that's where Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett is shot to bed. And I like the Mandalorian season 3. I don't hate it. I actually do like it. I had a good time, but I mean, I could critique it as, a piece of art. And it's like in Boba Fett, like I was saying, like Boba wants to rule with respect. That's not really me. If I wasn't a gang member in LA, that might be something I'd care about. You know what I mean? But that's not really a human issue that like I can relate to on any kind of human way. That's nothing to do with me and my family. And maybe if your kids don't respect you, you would really be into that story. But that's the only thing I can think of, man. Somebody can make that one work.
Favreau was going through some stuff.
Favreau's like, my kids just won't fucking listen. I'm a chef, god damn it. But
Lion King. I remade Lion King.
I know the original Luigi's on my speed dial. Like,
you remade Lion King when he made Jungle Book, and then remade Lion King again when he made Lion. I'm telling you, that fucking Jungle Book remake is Lion King. Like, go beat for beat, dude. Right down to the fucking the lionesses and shit. Like at the house.
Yeah. Dude, somebody posted some clips of that Little Mermaid movie onto, and it's getting like really good reviews. But the clips I've seen, it looks like it's like a fucking segment from Drunk History. I'm like, okay, guys, I'll take your word for it that this doesn't look like a piece of dog shit.
I don't think any of these movies should be in live action. They should be CGI remakes.
Sure.
And then you can 2-pack the fucking CGI with the 2D and leave it to animation. I don't.
Then they can't
fundamentally disagree with.
And then they can't redo the Pixar movies in live action if they do it that way, because they can't redo the Pixar movies in CGI. Right?
They should have done a CGI remaster of the first Incredibles by now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with that. Like, hey, man, fucking, 20 years later, let's take the same movie and maybe extend some sequences and, pump up some battles here and there.
You're sounding like a George Lucas right now. You're sounding very George Lucas.
I just don't agree with the execution of changing the tone scene to scene because you like I'm an idiot savant whimsy, motherfucker who wants to throw in a yuzum gargling for 30 seconds to.
do they keep that trunk on the mom though? Because if they keep that trunk on the mom, then it's okay.
Yeah, you keep that. Plus they got all the puppet outfits with the big booty at Disneyland. Like that's my favorite. When they have to wear the Incredibles mom outfit, she's got the big booty. It's so good.
Pistol Pete says directors can do rewrites though, can't they? I would imagine, Pete, if a director did a rewrite, they would then be blacklisted by both the or the WGA and the British version. And then if that director ever wanted to be a writer-director, it ain't going to happen with the studio system. Yeah. So you have now put yourself in independent filmmaker jail for the rest of your life as a writer. So I'm going to guess that that's unlikely to be a thing.
They specifically covered that when we read the rules. They covered that. You can't do any writing whatsoever. You can't have conversations about it. You have to turn over all your notes, and they're going to hold it up to a year to be held accountable. They're not fucking around. Like I tried. I sat right here for 2 hours trying to find ways around their rules, and I couldn't do it. Like I'm pretty sneaky.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to I think at the end of the day, if you found a really good loophole that you thought was a loophole, and you're like, ha, fucking got you. They would just be like, blacklisted, don't give a fuck. And then you'd be like, oh, that's really
right.
Or what probably happened.
Arbitrarily.
So. Like just. Baymax says the Nile were a peaceful anarchist community until Santa got them labeled terrorists for teaching the elves mutual aid and spokes council organizing. That's I don't know about all the facts, but that sounds right.
Much to Santa's dismay, I've started people like elaborating on Santa lore, right? Like,
Santa lore.
I don't think he had that problem before me.
I don't know. I think that might have been a thing his whole life. I'm not sure though.
I've taken it to a whole nother level because he starts going, I know everyone's thinking about the elves and labor issues, and I'm like, no one was doing that until I showed up and started harassing you about it.
Staters that asked, what's the news on Hayden Christensen and Ahsoka? I got a story about it where I heard that he was like in the World Between Worlds sequence, and basically Ahsoka sees if Kenobi had not essentially been able to finish the confrontation with Anakin, and instead it's her. So it goes bad. So yeah, so it's basically Darth Vader as Anakin, or Hayden as Darth Vader. So that's all I could really like 100% like know it was a thing, you know. So anyways, and then Frog Eater, I don't know why, but says don't forget Skeleton Crew in the Bad Batch season 3 too, Mr. Ward. I didn't, but I don't know why, but okay. And then Gilroy has weaknesses. No, well, I mean, yeah, everybody has weaknesses, obviously, but he's really strong though, man. Have you heard the man talk about himself? Oh, he knows. I mean, that's kind of the thing is it's like when you take like the works that he's done and you're like, well, yeah, it really, you know, it's a big one. It's a big career. There's just like no denying it, you know. I mean, could he be a little bit more humble? I say why, you know. Oh, and or won a Peabody today. So once again, that dick just got bigger. You know what I mean? And rightfully so.
Yeah.
So
the countdown to people going, what Star Wars series is going to win a Peabody next? Will it be Bad Batch season 4? I don't think so.
I think so. I think you're right.
They can't even get a Saturn. Right? And, you know, like anyone
the
can
car?
get a Saturn.
The car? The car.
Showing your age, Jason.
I know. I know. I had a choice. My mom's boyfriend had like a car dealership in Kansas, and he sold old used cars. It was like you could have a Dodge Neon, you could have a Saturn. I picked the Neon, but I'm pretty sure whatever I picked was the wrong choice. Will Morgan says Netflix is like, we will just hire international writers. Laugh out loud. Yeah, Netflix. If they do try that, I mean, they're not just hiring international writers. They're just simply buying up international product right now. Like that's their idea to like sit this out or to make it as brutal for the writers as they can. But at the end of the day, you know, if they think some like, you know, guy from Poland or something is going to be able to like write about the American kids in the 80s and Stranger Things, they're fucking high. You know what I mean? And they don't get Stranger Things from that. They can't. They won't. So if they think that's a solution, they have literally just hung themselves, I would say, in the long run, if they were to go that way. But I don't remember what we said, but overvalues their skills. Speak for yourself. Oh yeah, no, my skill is way overvalued. I know that much. We're talking about Bob Iger though. No, Bob Iger, what he's just fucking pragmatic. Cool. He knows the end. He knows the company is pragmatic. Deserves to be rich, for sure. Does not deserve to get fucking $30 million a year. Nobody does. Don't care who you are. Don't give a fuck. You know, no matter what you do. I think you're a piece of shit if you make that much money. Fuck you. Baymax says in the prequel trilogy when Ali Adi Thunderpants says the Sith have been extinct for what do you call him? Ali. The Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years or whatever it was. Yoda and Mace give each other a side eye. They both knew something. So you think that they were like, you think they were like,
you remember that time we trained
yeah,
in Space Ibiza? You remember that time we had that we paid for that 3-way? You know, she seemed a little Sith. She had that Sith tattoo on her string. You know, like yeah. There was something there.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, man. Fucking Mace Windu in that movie, all he did was give side eye. Like it just wasn't anything to fucking do. So the actor was trying to put something there that went on the page, and I commend him for it. But let's not overread it.
No, but you can. I mean, you can retcon that to be what that means, that there was something, you know, where like I do think that there will likely be a Jedi, maybe even the guy from what's his
Jedi martial law.
No, yeah. what's
the Sith Lord?
Who's the Jedi in Acolyte? What's his name? The guy from the Netflix series. Lee Jun something.
From Squid Game.
The Squid Game guy. Let's call him Squid Game guy for now. Sure. Yeah, he may. I mean, there may actually be a thing where he's like, "Listen up, fucks. Here's the deal," and they're just like, "Impossible." Like they just are arrogant and don't believe him, and then it passes into a thing. But but it was always something that they like. Some people were like, I don't know about what that guy said. You know what I mean? And that Mace and Yoda are aware, because Yoda would be a Jedi during this time. So Yoda could maybe be like, you know, and when that begins to happen again, maybe Yoda's like, shit, it keeps coming up.
It's only 100 years though. He'd still be a master, right? He's been a master for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's like the problems that you see in the Phantom Menace, like it doesn't mean that those problems came up like that decade even. Like they may be the same problems at this time. It just took 100 years for the Sith to capitalize on it and for it to become like a real problem or something like that, right? But
right.
Nick says Jeeves was his guy. Nick, I don't know, but I believe you. I believe you. So the Sabersmith says, great article to cover my students. The one that you posted. Creative writing class, they need to stay in the know. Yeah, for sure. And like you know, I mean, I know you probably don't have like unlimited time, but it would be fun to have like students like take the prompt and then write theirs and then get the AI version and then hold what they did to the AI version and show there's a difference here. You know what I mean? There's like a really prominent difference, but then again, you never know. You never know. Tyrant says you're not
what
wrong.
It will do is it will consistently produce the same result.
Yeah.
Like, or with might to go, oh, it's different every time. It's so minute. It's like when you change one word into Mad Libs. You know, it's gonna fill the blanks. And I don't care how intricate you think it is. Humans are so good at recognizing the patterns that we can see the patterns when humans do it. When a computer's doing it over and over again, then you're like, well, dude, that's why we'll have humans to change the pattern. And I'm like, at that point, it'll be easier to just do it from scratch. Literally, it would, because then you're spending your time telling the story, not fixing the story.
Yeah.
You know, and let me tell you, you don't want to be in a situation where 80% of your writing is script doctoring a bad script, right? It's better to start with a good structure than a shit structure and fix it in the end. Like,
yeah, I ran the academic journal for my college. I did my internship at an academic journal at USC. And the truth is something written right the first time it's a dream to edit that. But when something isn't, and it's smart, but it's not written well at all, you end up doing more work. Like there's times when I wish I could have just read the fucking paper and then just sat there and rewrote the whole thing. Like it would have been faster. So that's why I'm not necessarily like all about this this AI stuff with writing. It seems like it's going to be like fucking more work than it's worth. I mean, but hey, is what it is. Hey, look, it's Jason. Shit, I didn't see him here earlier. We haven't seen Jason in a long time. How's it going, dude? He's like, I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. But yeah, we need to do a UFO show with Jason pretty soon. There's been a lot of like fun developments and grifty developments and all that stuff, and I know he definitely like usually sides more on the it's real, bro, for sure. And I'm like, so it would be fun to talk with him again about that stuff.
I was talking to my brother the other night. He lives out in Lake Havasu.
Right.
He was telling me that they saw some of the more red orbs with that split into two things and then spill out stuff like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got to get him to like. I got to just record it because he's not gonna come on the show. But I think I can have him talk to me and I can record it and then we can like listen to that. You know what I mean? That might be something we could do. Yeah.
There was also like that. I can't remember. It was one of the scientists. I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but there's this like one of the scientists who's been brought in who's like not part of the like Elizondo crew. He's like an outsider. He was like, and he's like something's up, like something is here. And then, but as it's gone on, he's like been saying things like, I don't think this is actually like alien. He's like, his thesis seems to be at the moment, it seems like we cracked anti-gravity sometime in the last 50 years and we're using the UFO alien thing as a cover up for it. Why? I don't know. but that's where a prominent scientist is at on it. But it's it's all fun. It's fun, like things to consider, But I'm interested in to get into a time machine and go in the future 50 years and see if we're having the same conversations, though. You know what I mean? But
right.
aliens.
Well, if you've cracked anti-gravity, then you can go in the past.
Yeah, you would think so.
Opens up everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Lazar covered very extensively what that actually means. So it's like,
have you been following the thing with him in the last couple of weeks? Like,
yeah,
it's not a good. Yeah, but it's. I mean, they're like, come and talk about the science that you were looking at. Come and talk about it with the scientists. They want to know what and he won't do it. And it's like, and he's like, I'm not interested. Well, it's like, if you're not fucking interested, you like are saying that you're privy to one of the biggest things that ever happened in the history of humanity, but you're not interested. Like, are you fucking kidding me, Bob Lazar?
He's never done that, Jason. I just like see you went full in, and then the guys that you were digging kind of turned out to be full of little shit, and now you're like looking for all the holes, right?
No, I'm not.
I told you there's always been considerable holes, but they've been there since day one.
Right.
And I've just been like, I've been following these cats. Like, I'm willing to bet the guy's fucking full of shit, but at the same time, that's the one I'm willing to take the fucking kick to the balls on, given my own experiences, and everything he said seems to line up with what we've seen. And the shit that we saw in the 90s, I mean, if you're going to do anti-gravity, why would you do it over fucking an entire city? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of that? This is not how our government works. They tend to not. You could do anti-gravity. If you cracked anti-gravity, you could do that shit over the ocean, over the Antarctica. You can do it. You can do it in space. It doesn't matter. Like, once you've bent that fucking rule, like, you don't have to do it in front of, an entire city to where the stock market can fucking be crashing, or people can fucking go psycho and pull out their weapons. And I mean, remember in the 90s, they really thought if people thought there were aliens, the whole fucking planet would collapse. Now we're like, obviously not. Like,
I took a Cold War studies course, and was like going through the the old newspaper articles and reading about what people were talking about when we were testing bombs and what we were doing. Like in the people literally believed that if we did an atomic bomb in the ocean, it'd make a hole, and all of the water in the ocean might go away, might drain into the center of I don't know what they thought, but that's what they thought. And so it's just like, yeah, it's pretty wild. Like where
you ever read
people's
James
brains are.
Thurber's My Life in Hard Times?
Nuh-uh.
So it's a collection of stories that he wrote in the New Yorker about his childhood from a humorous standpoint. It's just, James Thurber was a humorist. You probably, folks out there, you would know James Thurber's writings from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, or any of those Warner Bros. Cartoons where it's a guy fantasizing about being somewhere else, or a kid fantasizing about being somewhere else. He wrote all that shit. Yeah. But in the book My Life in Hard Times, he was talking about when he was a kid in the early 1900s, when they first got electricity installed. He grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and his grandparents, these are Civil War people, were adamant that if that light switch was on and there was nothing plugged into the wall, that the electricity would leak out and kill them in their sleep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he drew drawings of this shit too.
Yeah,
yeah. Like none of that mentality still exists here.
Sure,
it's alive and well.
I went and had dinner with my dad the other night, and we were talking about like his phone and charging it, and I got him like a wireless charger, and he's just like, I don't know how it works. I don't get it. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, it's magic. It's magic.
And yet this man votes.
And he gets, and his vote counts the same as yours.
Yeah, right. Remember that, folks.
Honestly, most of the time I talk all this politics. He just goes and cancels it out, so you guys know. People act the same insane way about the Hadron Collider, that we were going to create a black hole on Earth, or a portal to hell, or a bunch of shit. Yeah. Did you see the new what was the fucking trailer for
Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Oppenheimer trailer, somebody's like, he's like, the general's asking him, he's like, so you're sure you won't like destroy the world? And he's like, probably not, or whatever. He's like, yeah, maybe
they
not.
thought it would ignite the atmosphere. They thought it would ignite the atmosphere.
Yeah. But
that
it was
the
was
real like
and
0.02%,
and it's a real concern. Yeah,
Right.
it's like a that's a valid concern too. Like or what's this gonna do? But but
when the Nazis are making one too, you got no choice, right? Like they're making one. Like
we might as well destroy us first. So that's kind of a good rule.
See, folks, this is what happens when you're like, let's go to war. It'll be fun, right?
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice if we just got to, turn full cannibal, get Army Hammer out there, crack. Let him sell timeshares to baby boomers and eat them, and then we could crack anti-gravity, which we only don't have it because if Michael Jackson had it, he would be Peter Pan, and we would all get molested. So that's why they hit it. That's what I'm convinced about.
He's just flying over, spreading grooming powder. Right? Those sprinkles are.
Here's some sleepy Jesus juice. He's like, wake up in the tree.
Lips.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. Well, I'm gonna go and get ready to go pick up the kids from school. Not Michael Jackson style, my children. And there won't be a show tomorrow, so we gotta do some stuff tomorrow, and we're gonna do that stuff, this real life stuff that's not fun, but gotta do it. And we'll be back on tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Yeah, so we'll be back on Thursday. So good times. But thank you everybody for hanging out with us today. Thank you for like the super chats and all that kind of stuff. And
hey Jason,
yeah,
maybe Friday we do a pizza party.
Oh, pizza party, man! I'm on a diet too. I'm on a diet, so I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
You're on a diet.
I'm strict on it right now.
Exercise, Jason. Oh, yeah,
I did.
Okay. You can't do it.
It was a mistake. No. You can do it.
I don't want to fuck up your.
You can do it. I'll make a grape pizza, which means I'll have a little bowl of grapes right here, and I'll call it pizza.
You'll have rice cake and some.
Oh man, I do like those chocolate rice cakes. You ever have those? Those are fucking good. Like what they are. But yeah, but I don't buy them anymore because I found that like it just made me like hungrier. Like I was just better off not eating it, so I just don't.
Just eat some soluble fiber, man. Like some brown rice, coconut aminos, black beans, a little sweet potato,
booty, whatever. But we'll be back on Thursday.
Gut disease.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, my grandfather got dysentery in World War II when he was island hopping, and see what happens. All right, well, that's my
Vietnam. Way to end the show, huh?
That's my Vietnam. No, I'm just joking.
I'm just gonna say this, man. The weekend the Flash comes out, that show before we go see Keaton, I'm definitely going to pizza party then. 100%.
Okay. Pizza party it is.
100%. It's Keaton. It's Keaton.
Maybe I'll go to 7-Eleven and just get like one piece of like disgusting cheese pizza, That way I'm not eating like a whole pizza and it's just one piece, and that'll be my pizza party. Maybe I'll do that.
Right.
Because that's like probably 300 calories, right? Or something like that, I'd say. So I could probably do that. So, all right. Yeah. So pizza party on Friday then. It's on. It's a thing. We're doing it. I've decided.
I'm doing it. You're not doing nothing.
I'm not doing it.
Now in anticipation, I got to go do squats and flutter kicks. I'm getting freaked out now.
All right. Try not to get it. Try not to just,
Eating.
Yeah.
Hold on. Look at this. Eating for Keaton.
Eating for Keaton. That's good. As soon as I don't even know why. I psychically knew that's what that was going to say. I heard Eaton and I was thinking Keaton, and then it was like, and I saw it, I was like, there was,
Pistol Pete must have had to take his grandparents to go see 80 for Brady, and that was his, you know what I mean? Like he linked the two together.
See, now I get to have pizza. Why? I'm eating for Keaton.
Jason, when I get the store up, That's going in the store.
Eating for Keaton.
It's gonna make no sense, but I'm selling it. Like,
You know what? It works. It works.
yeah, it's gonna be the pizza part. I'll make it on a red heather with cream, like in a logo, Star Wars logo, so you'll have a nice pizza pie style shirt. You know what I mean?
All right.
I can do it.
I'm
Yeah.
in. All right, guys.
All right.
Well, we'll see everybody on Thursday, and be cool, stay in school. And thanks for hanging out with me today, Rob. I'll see everybody later.
You're welcome.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.